we have one more match for you guys today. It's going to be BloodTrail versus Tyler. That I believe is pretty much ready to go. I don't know what that sound was, but yep.
It was me getting pumped up.
Oh,
like
okay.
Tyler is here. He looks like Rocky in a training montage.
He's just been
ready
using his
to
gym
go.
equipment in the background, and he's ready to go right now. BloodTrail has his warrior shielded and his druid banned out, whereas Tyler has his pre-shielded and his druid banned out. So no druids at all. We have no priest from BloodTrail, so on a very surface level, I just dislike it, because I just think priest is good. We've talked about this. I'm not going to beat this into the ground, but he does have some spice, and I like it. He's playing the Holy Wrath Paladin, but with the Sahat's Pride, which is a card we discussed a little bit. And I've not played this myself, although I have seen it played, and I can't make my mind up whether it's good or not, or whether it's needed or not. But I'm sure, BloodTrail has his ideas, and I've seen other good players run it, so maybe there's something there. But for me, Tom's warrior deck, take a look at that one. Not Tom's, BloodTrail, sorry. I was looking at Tom's other sheet that I've got in front of me from the last match. BloodTrail's warrior deck. Take a look, because it runs Siamat, which is not standard, but then it also runs a Volpera Scoundrel and a Zephyrus the Great. And as you can see, there aren't that many 2-ofs, because there's about 100 legendaries, and then just a couple of bits here and there. What do you make of this build? It's a very strange one.
I mean, I've seen builds of Reno or Highlander Warrior knocking about where they run Zephyrus in the deck, but for the most part, it's been a load of 2-ofs, and you just say,
the game's going to go late.
Exactly. I either play it on 2 against the aggro decks, in which case it's fine, or you save it until the super late game against the control decks. I haven't seen a build like this for BloodTrail. I will admit one of my own faults here in recognizing of how powerful decks are. I consistently underestimate how powerful one-off decks are at the moment, even if they're not full-on one-off decks. I think you can make the argument here where Warrior has enough good cards at the moment, which it has plenty.
Cover bases.
Exactly, that you can just go for lots of one-offs here. I don't hate it from BloodTrail. I think a lot of the cards he's put in here, like Siamat, is just a very powerful card at the moment, in my opinion, now that Cyclone Mage and Reno Mage has gone out the way. Volpera Scoundrel, I think, is honestly just a pretty good card. I think Warrior has very few bad spells, and even the bad spells it has often have a use.
You can make it
to
work,
be found.
right?
Exactly, yeah.
For me, as we just saw the breakdown of Tyler's deck very quickly, Holy Wrath Paladin, he's running the Zephyrus, which is insane.
Yeah.
It just almost guarantees lethal at the end of every game if you can do the Holy Wrath turn. And even if they're not on 25, I think only 30 is safe, because they can get Soulfire or Lightning Bolt, depending. But I will just say as well, on your point about Highlander decks, I feel like it's a symptom from back when Highlander decks originally occurred. The power level of the decks outside of the few powerful cards was relatively low, right? The power of the pool. We've just had one of the most overall powerful expansions we've ever seen in terms of raw card, singular card power over every card in the game, that it makes crafting these decks a lot easier, because Volpera Scoundrel, not a high priority card, but it's still good. And if you can fill your deck with just good cards that are singular, then that's great. And we see MVP, Tyler's mum, I think it is, just dropping off some food. That is exactly what you want to happen when you're having a game of Hearthstone, right? You don't want to walk off and try and sort food yourself like a real human being. You just want food to basically appear in front of you.
You just want to hear a gentle toaster ping and think, oh, that's been 37 seconds. Crumpets must be ready.
Exactly. And don't even talk to me about how much butter you put on.
You drown them. Yeah, absolutely drown them.
Oh, no! It's ridiculous.
What are you talking about? Do you have Marmite on your crumpets?
No.
Really? Love a Marmitey crumpet. I love Marmite on anything.
You strike me as a Marmite person, Derek. In every way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, love you or the hate.
Not really a compliment there.
Or is it?
But it's true. I do love me some Marmite.
Oh, the old heal. Just to get the extra buff.
It was an interesting decision there to see Tyler go for obviously making one minion a little bit bigger rather than playing the Injured Blade Master. And one of the reasons I was going to say is because it feels a little bit stronger against Restless Mummy, but having a minion at exactly 6 health is significantly weaker against exactly Restless Mummy.
Okay, Derek. Is it Amet? You've just seen the coin into Rush. If you play Amit, it's unlikely another one comes down. If it does, Amit doesn't actually die, and then you have some good turns.
Yeah.
It feels like, at first I was just looking, oh wow, Cleric Blademaster Circle looks fantastic, that's great. But I think now, this could be one of those opportunities you discussed earlier in Priest of sometimes you just make the play, as long as nothing terrible happens, you just win the game.
Yeah, so like the worst thing that can happen here is Weapons Project Shield Slam, which would obviously be pretty much the only thing that can take it out. And even if, like you said, a second Restless Mummy were to come down, just going, I think like even going for a 1 health Cleric and then going like a Circle of Healing and then Nephicet Ritualist or whatever you want to do on that turn, I think would be fine. Like, as long as the Amit is in play.
Tyler's got the good news that all of those things did not happen, which means
all of his dreams will come true.
Blademaster's like, you've not done anything. But I've got some.
The injured Blademaster is staring at Amit or stabbing himself. I said I've only got 3 health.
And
now,
now,
like, jeez. All right.
Now does he? So he can go for the Cleric Circle or the Ritualist this turn. There are positives and negatives to both. This saves Cleric for maybe a bigger circle next, and maybe gives him more outs and the ability to play a longer game even if things go wrong.
I think I like the look of this play. It means that if Brawl comes down, you are guaranteed something good sticking on the board anyway. And the follow-up is still very strong for Tyler. I think with Bonsandi being kept in the mulligan, he can very happily just take things a little bit slower here.
Would you like some card draw, Mr. Brown?
Yeah, that was an absolute disaster from BloodTrail. That could not have gone worse.
Was
that just a horrible play?
Yeah, I'm looking at this and going, was this the worst play that BloodTrail could have possibly made this turn? Because this is what, like, Dynamatic always does this, right?
Pretty much.
You've got to say outside of, ooh, is there a chance it doesn't? Well, shush, it does. So it always makes this a potential outcome.
Yeah.
And
oh my god.
Isn't Brawl just better?
With the second Brawl being found, I was looking at Brawl there. The thing is for BloodTrail, it's not like he has removal that has to last him for the rest of the game. He has removal and then threats. He can transition very quickly from removing the board.
Tomb Wardens are a pain for Priest.
Exactly, into Siamat, into Tomb Warden. Those are all great cards in the matchup. And here, of course, he's able to go for the Brawl finally, after Tyler's drawn 5 cards.
The problem with that is he could have just died that turn. I think that was my worry.
I think he was equally likely to die either way, right? Like whether he brawls or doesn't. Because if he's dying to like double Divine Spirit in a fight.
Right, but doing that allows Tyler to potentially draw 4 cards or 3 cards to then get him to double in a fire.
I mean,
whatever.
Make no mistake, I think it was a bad play, but not necessarily because he dies on that turn.
And now Tyler's like, Amit lived. Let's go again. I think he doesn't have to commit anything else to this board. Or do you think he should because of Amit?
Because of Bonsandi primarily, right? Like if he goes Blademaster, Circle of Healing there, maybe that's an overcommittal that's not really necessary to make. But he needs to clear out some space in his hand for the 1-drops he's going to draw.
I guess my question is, does he need to ever play Bonsandi this game? And if he does,
why wouldn't he?
Will all of this already gone? Well, I think his real focus is just getting to a Divine Spirit, and I know Bonsandi does that because it draws it draws minions out of your deck, which makes it more likely to draw Divine Spirit.
Right.
But also, it's getting close that, well, any of his draws, Power Word, Shield, he's not played he's played Extra Arms, sorry, yeah. Extra Arms is gone, to be fair.
Has he played Extra Arms?
Oh, no. It was Power Shield Heal, wasn't it, early on? Sorry. It was the other game I was thinking about with Extra Arms earlier. I'm talking rubbish. So now... could just play Injured Tolvair and heal. I'm just going to start pushing damage. It's decided.
You know,
that BloodTrail doesn't really have much right now.
Yeah, this is part of the reason why I wanted to see Blademaster last turn, because even if he brawls, I think that if you see a second Brawl, you're in such a good spot as Tyler. You can develop so heavily that it wouldn't have really mattered. But yes, what it does mean is that he's able to push a lot of damage on this turn. I just think with the Blademaster, he would have on average, been able to push even more.
Right. And also, just look at the scores of both these players. BloodTrail 1-5, Tyler 2-4.
Yeah.
Both these players desperately need this win.
And I would say these have been two of the players, not wanting to sound too harsh, that I've been the least impressed by so far in Season 2 of Grandmasters. Like,
at least within their division.
Right. Because I try to base it on purely what we've seen recently. Tyler, we know he has the tournament pedigree. BloodTrail, we know he has the tournament pedigree, right? Last year, they both had incredibly dominant runs on the HCC circuit. Tyler due to his points lead, BloodTrail due to his, double qualification that he got through in seasonal championships last year, which is very, very impressive. This time, however, I think we've seen quite a few opportunities where BloodTrail has not taken opportunities to maximize his outs. Obviously, the most infamous of which being the him not taking the 66% chance with Holy Wrath Paladin last week, which was very egregious in my mind.
He's going to go snip snap into Brawl. Going to give him a chance to actually win the Brawl as well, apart from just getting away with it. And he doesn't quite get there. But I guess that's the best outcome, is that? I think. Maybe the Cleric just living on its own is... No, because it was in a fired, right?
Yeah.
I guess that was the best then, right?
Yeah, I think, after the snip snap.
After, post. The best loss, so to speak.
Yes. Tyler now still just trying to find a way to close out this game, as it feels like we've seen a bunch of Priest games in a row where it's just been Divine Spirit right at the bottom of the deck.
And this is, funnily enough, where I've been asked a lot last few days about, what should Blizzard do about Priest? People have talked about Noshai Cleric a lot.
Yeah.
But honestly, I was like, well, if they just actually Hall of Fame Divine Spirit, this deck becomes a lot weaker. It's still not the worst deck in the game, but it cannot do the very silly things that it's about to do.
I think this is actually pretty smart from Tyler, who can guarantee 100% lethal hit, as he only needs one Divine Spirit. He could have traded with the Cleric and then Circle of Healings again for another two cards.
He could draw enough cards to... Yeah, and also because Topsy-Turvy's at exactly 0 mana, of course.
Yes, of course.
It's always playable, which means he had all that mana, except for 2 Yes to float for the Spirit, to draw the deck. And you know what? And rightly, as you said, the Bon Samedi being played made turns like that possible because it thins the deck so much. The deck's more or less Blade Master Tol'vir 1-drops and spells. That's pretty much all of it. But very quick game there, and Priest takes another scalp as he takes down a BloodTrail there for Tyler, going 1-0. What is going to happen at the end of this close series? We're going to find out after this.
Here comes the boom! Somebody order a bomb?
No. No. No.
Magic!
Here comes the thing.
This should be interesting.
Your will is no longer... Magic!
Okay, then.
Need a hand, Explorer?
You'll find me wherever the action is. Onward to adventure!
Magic!
back and ready to go with game number 2 between Tyler and BloodTrail. It's going to be Warrior versus, sorry, Holy Wrath Paladins. I actually had to claim. I thought we were kind of joking in the break, but then I actually had to do it live. Typical.
If you were listening to the break, trust me, that was hilarious.
Anyway, so yeah, the Warrior and Paladin matchup. What do you make of this one and Tyler's build as well? How much do you think Zephyrus is actually going to do some work here?
It could play a pretty big factor because when we saw this matchup a lot more, it was obviously in Season 1 of Grandmasters. We've already played out all of that. It was a different format, of course. We were playing Specialist then, and there was a lot more Bomb Warrior knocking around, which was a miserable matchup for the OTK Paladin, generally agreed upon because you couldn't deal the damage necessary and you were dying to all the bombs. Now it feels much more of a case of trying to get the necessary damage to push yourself over the finish line to deal the 50 damage necessary to remove enough armor so that 50 damage is enough to take the win, I should say. Because with 2 Shivala Shuffles and Holy Wrath being played, there is, of course, the ability for about 50 damage to be played. But then, of course, you need to factor in the offensive potentials from the Warrior. They are far from offenseless in their lineup, with the new Taunt package being put in with Armageddon Flunkies and Tomb Wardens. So it's an interesting balance where Tyler needs to try and get as much damage and chip through as he can through the course of the game, so that when it does come through to the end of the game and there's a big old Taunt wall in the way, he has enough damage to be able to get there.
Yeah, also now, there's something a little bit spicy in the hand for BloodTrail in the form of that Hecklebot. And wouldn't be the first time, though.
It would not.
Imagine. Hecklebot on 4, Shivala. And then he just gets the shuffle. Okay, let's carry on the game.
If you told me that would happen twice in Season 2 of Grandmasters, I would say, what the Hecklebot are you talking about?
Funnily enough, if Hecklebot comes out on 4 and it's shuffled in from Tyler, how much of an edge does that actually give BloodTrail? Because he doesn't kill the Shivala, but a shuffle has been used. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like a halfway thing, right? It doesn't just win the game, but it definitely impacts Tyler's play.
Weirdly enough, though, already, BloodTrail definitely won't be expecting this. Both Baleful Bankers and Shivala have already been drawn, which are the only cards that actually affect the combo that are minions. Yeah. So, I mean, there's still good cards that BloodTrail could get, of course, like Novice Engineer, you know, Zephyrus. Zephyrus would be still fantastic, of course. Yeah, I guess it's pretty much exactly Zephyrus he's looking for that has any major impact here. Because, of course, as we were talking about, with Hecklebot, it summons a minion from your opponent's deck. If it gets Shivala the Tiger, you basically just win because the deck has no win condition.
I think like Thakal as well. Kangor, the good minions to pull out. Because again, if you want to play slightly more aggressive, but then they effectively end up with like 50-ish health for the Paladin, then that's going to be a little worse. Tyler playing around this Hecklebot like a god.
His deck is just like, trust me, you're going to want these cards right.
He's going to overdraw though, which he can afford to. So.
It's true. Outside of second Holy Wrath, exactly.
Oh, I guess.
Which would be huge. That would make a big, big difference to the game.
My hand is too full.
Close.
We're all good.
Are we? Does he have to just conk this turn? Because every card he plays draws a card.
How is Zephyrus active? What?
That's insane!
There are 16 cards left in the deck.
Yeah, well, he has 2. Look at his hand. 2 bankers.
Your wish is my
That's insane.
Absolutely ridiculous. What does this even give him here?
For?
Yeah, I was going to say, does it give Wild
Giant?
Growth? I guess Mountain Giant's better than Wild Growth.
I want a Mountain Giant.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But now
Wild Growth is pretty nuts as well, though.
This is very, very interesting right now because Wild Growth's good, but Mountain Giant, what if it hits face?
Wild Growth, nerfed to 3 mana, and he would still take it over an 8/8 for the same mana cost.
Face me, you cowardly flop.
Tyler says, yeah, whatever, have whatever you want. He doesn't really care.
Well, he probably cares a little bit now.
That does.
That's his second pyro.
That's true. That's true. That does make it a little
He
difficult.
doesn't have much
to play,
removal left that's actually going to kill big minions.
He does also have an unplayable timeout, so Tyler is quite vulnerable, actually, to an aggressive push from BloodTrail were he to make one.
I hope you like my invention.
Tyler just rushing to the end of his deck right now. Honestly, it would have been insane if Tyler had the second Holy Wrath and just plays Acolyte out. It's like, overdraw me, BloodTrail.
Oh, at that
dare
point.
you.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
And then it's like, thank you, I win the game.
You would. It's like in the old Mechathune Warlock decks
Oh.
where you just deliberately start burning cards willy-nilly.
Scheme.
Dr. Boom's scheme, often considered by some of the worst card ever printed in Hearthstone.
Okay, that's
He's
just
actually
untrue.
pretty good here. I don't think it's far off.
What? It's just not true.
It's so bad. I mean, sorry, it's so niche in the situations when it's good, which is the mark of a good card, right? Usually.
I could name, I want to say 20 worst cards, which makes it not near the worst card ever printed.
Speak to me.
Newest Aviana,
Oh yeah, that's probably worse.
Lore Walker Cho, Millhouse Manistorm, like,
I played Millhouse over Dr. Boom's scheme. Maybe not actually.
old newest Nat Pagal.
That card wasn't that bad. 2 mana, 2/4. It's not as bad
draws
as
you
4
upon-
mana game 1.
But it's not just
It's
4
mana
gain
literally
one.
do nothing.
Did you lose a game the other day to this card, Mr.
He
Dark?
discovered 2 of them. How is that fair off
You can run
Feliciana?
2 in your deck.
Yeah, but that means he got 4 because it was off Feliciana.
Right, well, it won the game.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
The only
it's
games-
very niche where
the
it's
only
good. In that
games
situation,
the
it
new
was insane.
Aviana has ever won are for your opponent.
Of course, off the country's calling, yeah. It's not good though, usually.
I never
Freaking
said it
good.
was good. I just
Okay.
said it wasn't the worst card ever printed.
I said argued by some.
Yeah, those people are idiots.
Right. You might hurt those people's feelings if you keep talking about them like that.
Well, maybe they hurt my feelings. By being so stupid.
Maybe those people apologise and just want to be friends.
Well, if that's the case, fantastic. People like friends. So is that second Holy Wrath now, which does mean Tyler can
Yeah,
pretty much willy-nilly just do whatever he wants in terms of card draw?
He can
has-
actually just
Yeah, he
overdraw.
has the tools that he needs.
I mean, the thing is, he can't really overdraw much more because he's only got 4 blooming cards left in the deck.
That card's actually a pretty solid pickup. And the card's actually just good. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
minion that might hit
Chips
face
away.
once.
Yeah,
and then
every point of damage he chips away face is pretty good.
Tyler's just got self-lethal. Kind of.
He actually almost is.
Getting
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
That's what I mean. He's actually just getting there. What is this game of Hearthstone?
Was Tyler in such a good position where it was wrong to coin out the prismatic lens because it could have swapped Shivala and Holy Wrath, which is like the only way he loses, because that would make 1 Holy Wrath unplayable? It was probably still correct to do that, right? I'm just kind of trying to think back to the way this game played out.
The problem with it, or I feel, the problem with things like that is I feel like you can't dodge draw until you draw a Holy Wrath, right?
Okay.
Because if you're waiting to draw 2 Holy Wraths, then like that's a huge problem, right?
Yeah.
Because then you're just playing slow, which you don't do. The deck draws its deck. That's its
Yeah.
value. So honestly, I think you roll the dice with the lens and you just deal with it.
I think you're probably right. Tyler here with a Hammer of Wrath to the face can go for one of the swings with Shivala on this turn with perfect mana utilization and then hope to just hit lethal next turn.
Have we only just hit turn 10?
I think
It's
so.
like turn 10 or 11
Yeah, I mean,
now.
this was the
It's insane.
god draw. I mean, outside of Christology right at the start. He's making a big gambit here, saying he does have set up lethal here, exactly, even with factored in the 7 armor from Blast Shield. What he hasn't factored in is the literal worst card ever printed in this game called Hearthstone, which is going to come to BloodTrail's rescue.
Name the Peter Andre song that describes this game from Tyler.
Do I look like I know any Peter Andre songs?
Insania.
Oh,
That's what this game is.
well, naturally, of course.
I've seen Peter Andre live.
Notice the complete lack of surprise on my face right now.
Whoa! Most people are surprised. Like, whoa, how? And can I? That's the response I get from most people.
From whom?
Okay, I'm lying. Not about seeing him live, just about being excited about it.
I'm like, I've never seen him live.
I'm sorry.
It's the biggest disgrace in my
I thought it
life.
would make me sound cool.
Yeah.
I realised that I can't make certain jokes with you. I need Sol to come back. He would have got the Pierre Andre joke.
I'm sorry. I'm too late. Zephyrus coming down, activating on his side of the board as well. Boom, shield slam to clear it off. It's, I guess, like a little risky not saving it for healing, because Tyler is homing in on lethal now. If he was to go Consecration swing face with True Silver,
yeah, I think the game becomes very straightforward right now, right? He just conks, does 2, clears the board, goes face, does 4, that pushes 6, puts him to how much? 24?
24, yeah.
And
which means Ziliax off the top is not good enough because there's no mechs in play, no minions in play.
Well, there's nothing in play to trade into anyway.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Sorry, no
sorry.
minions on Tyler's side of the board and no mechs to magnetize onto on BloodTrail's side of the board.
Looks like everything's coming up Tyler in this game because this is maybe the most, I'm not saying straightforward in a bad way, but just game that almost played itself for Tyler, right? He could draw his deck so quickly, he drew the key cards very quickly, he could have freely burnt half his deck, but maybe
that was the out. That was
that literally
the out for BloodTrail. That was it, right?
So
that and maybe Weapons Project, I suppose.
The scheme may have been the best card ever printed in this game.
Yes.
We've gone full circle.
It won him the game.
And now he has a mech on board for Ziliax.
Yep. Tyler doesn't find anything to help him off the top.
He has to hope that Shivala lives. So he has to do the play anyway, right? Because he needs to peel the armor, attack. 5, 6, 7. Well, he can subdue, attack, peel the armor, heal, and hope Shivala lives for an attack. He has to, right?
Why would he subdue at all this turn?
So he can clear the board.
You can do that anyway with the 2 Shivalas, right? And a weapon.
Oh, sorry, yeah, he can just play the second Shivala. Apologies. Yeah. For some reason in my mind, I thought he wouldn't be playing the second Shivala.
Oh, he can subdue to get the swing face. Oh, and that's lethal! He finds the weapon
hit.
Yeah.
Oh, good job. Nice.
What an insane sequence there from Tyler.
Done. That was really well played. For some reason, it just locked out my mind that a second Shivala would be on the board. Very nice play.
That was sick.
You know what? Redeemed. I'm gonna say the arguable misplay the other week with Zephyrus when Tyler didn't realize he wasn't active, made the slight blunder. For me, redeemed because that play was pretty good in a very weird end game.
Yeah.
What an insane way to end the series and end the day for us. Crazy.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't even thinking there because the fact that it was exactly 24 health, the shield block got him to 29, which is still dying to the True Silver swing, of course.
Right.
And
if he can get to it.
It was only exactly Steambot that gave him a chance of staying alive against the 2 Shivalas. But even then, if he'd worked it out, BloodTrail could have known he was 100% dead if Tyler saw the lines, which he did.
Yeah, and it was a little bit tricky, and I think as well, the speed in which Tyler started making the play was kind of threw me off, because I was looking at is there any weird ways of things that continue the game? It's like, oh wait, no, it's just lethal. But anyway, let's speak to Tyler, the man of the minute. Tyler, can you hear us?
Hey, what's up, Raymond?
Oh, hey. Congratulations on the win, of course, and I just want to ask you very quickly, because you probably just heard us talking about it, but that Paladin game looked like, on one hand, the most simple game because the opening was very good for you, and you could just you could even burn half your deck if you wanted to because you had all those tools. But then the end game got a little bit tricky with that scheme. How did you have the plan for the end game even with those taunts? Did you just see the lethal straight away?
Yeah. I knew that I would be able to get through like any taunt, but I wouldn't be able to get through Divine Shield, so I was just praying there. Yeah. And the game plan that game was just to go as fast as possible, draw the entire deck, and try to kill him before he finds the heals, and like it worked out exactly. Nice.
And how did submission go for you this week? Your lineup, it has Priest in it, so I approve instantly. But what made you go for a Holy Wrath Paladin versus say a Shaman, a Zoo, or some of the more maybe popular lists that people have submitted?
I tried the other the aggro decks last weeks and just didn't go well. Just just playing Zoo and then just drawing that just feels horrible, or like just having your whole board removed feels horrible. Like I'd rather play decks like these. I don't even know why I went away from Priest because I was winning with Priest, and then I stopped playing Priest and started losing. So I submitted Priest again and then submitted Paladin and then I win.
And so,
It's that simple.
talking of your deck submission, not trying to put you on blast here, but I know that, again, this has not been the most active period for you in terms of practicing for Hearthstone. Yeah. How much was this your own doing to come up with this lineup, and how much was it, as you said last week, it came with a lot of help from Patra to try and build your lineup?
The honest opinion?
Yeah, go for it.
Card for card Hunter Aces last week lineup.
Really?
Fair enough.
There you go, yeah.
I mean, if it works, it works. You can't argue with that.
And it still annoys me, I just want to say, that you can just copy someone's lineup and still play like that. It shouldn't be allowed. I'm banning you from being naturally this good.
I mean, I played okay this week, right?
You did.
Yeah,
we liked a lot of what we saw.
Well, yeah. I just want to finally ask you before we let you go, just how are you feeling after that win? Because, again, you've had a rough start to Grandmasters this season. You're looking... Anyone who's like lower half of the table, we talk about relegation issues and potential. But how does it feel after that win? Because now you're looking a lot safer with getting that first win on the board this weekend.
Yeah, I was getting scared, man. Like, even my mom was like, Tyler, you better not get relegated.
Nice.
Practice some Hearthstone again. So I started jamming these decks a bit on ladder, and I feel quite comfortable with them. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, good. Well, congratulations on the win, mate, and we'll see you later on.
Thanks, man. See you later.
Okay, and like I said, on the path to redemption, maybe at least from us, because we have been giving Tyler a bit of rubbish. Yeah. I'll say, just in terms of how much he's been playing or not been playing, and so on and so on. But again, can't really argue with the result this week. I think solid lineup, as he said. He used Hunter Ace. Well, Hunter Ace is doing pretty good in GM, not a bad idea, and he's been winning games. And even that Paladin game, it looked good anyway. Yeah. But he played it and played it out well, so it looked good to me. Let's take a look at the standings as we end our day. Chonsu and Glory, looking perfect, 6-1. Just very, very, very safe at the top, especially when you look at Chonsu. The rest of his division is kind of clustered in the middle, 2-4-2,
so
3-3, 3-4, 3-4. Obviously, more games to be played out this weekend. BloodTrail looking abysmal, especially after that loss to Tyler. He looks like he might be going out unless something dramatic happens in the next couple of weeks, whereas Chonsu sailing through.
That's right. And if you compare it to Division B there, where if Samuel Tsao picks up a win tomorrow, BloodTrail's just left high and dry, or low more for that point, where he's down right at the bottom by himself, whereas as we see...
low and wet? I don't know.
Let's say no on that one. Let's go with a firm no and move quickly on to Division B, where, as we said, Blitzchung and Patra down 1-6. At the very least, they have someone else to try and maybe just claw their way above.
Well, there's a chance. Right?
Exactly. They've just got a chance of not being relegated at this point, whereas it means it's an interesting Division B, where it's still pretty close around the middle, actually, with only, it seems like, Glory sailing away to an uncontested victory.
Yeah, I feel like 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place, all to fight for in terms of the qualification spots. And I think that will continue till maybe the last day. Very similar, if you remember, Division B in last season, funnily enough, also had like if they win and they lose and they win and that wins and that win and that, into who actually made top 3 at the time. Now it's top 4, of course. But yeah, it's looking very, very tight across the board, but the 2 leaders are looking strong, and I think that will continue. Let's take a look at the schedule for tomorrow and see what we've got coming up. We've got Alutimu versus Patra kicking off, which means very quickly Patra's going to see if she can just take that one step ahead of Blitzchung and try and just stay ahead of the curve there, whereas Tom and Dawn is going to follow that up. And then BloodTrail versus Flurry for match number 3.
Following up with what is definitely going to be my personal favourite match of the day, my 2 favourite Korean players in Rivius and Surrender. I think they have just been playing some fantastic Hearthstone. Obviously, Surrender, our representative going through to BlizzCon, who had a bit of a shaky start to Hearthstone Grandmasters in Season 2, but seems like he's got himself up to a much more reasonable middle-of-the-road score. And Rivius, on the other side, has been a player who I've been one of the biggest fans of his deck building so far this season. He's been very adventurous, as we will get to see tomorrow with his Control Shaman, and I think it's been paying off for him very well so far.
Yeah, and when you look at that 4th and 5th match, you have 3 of the top 4 players that are in Division A right now, with Shaxi versus Samuel Zhao. Samuel Zhao on 6th at the moment with just 2 wins so far. Shaxi looking a lot better in 2nd place with 4 wins. If Shaxi can continue to perform and keep Samuel Zhao pushed down, it means that he is going to be rocking that sort of top 1/2 spot as well and looking very, very good. So tons of great matches tomorrow for you guys, and tons of great matches across the board as well, because as always, EU is going to follow us, and then Americas is going to finish out the day. So we are done. Our 6 matches are over. We'll be back for 5 more tomorrow, but till then, see you next time.